What is going on, everybody? It's been quite a while since I've done anything like this. I've been seeing some posts on Facebook and on some other forums about refinishing your furniture on your military surplus rifles, and in particular, the M1 the Americans and the Germans actually had a pretty similar process to how they finished their stocks throughout World War II, anyways. Like, people want to get that iconic Springfield red, kind of dark brownish, reddish kind of color. And it's a very specific reason, and we're going to get into that for a second. Now, both the Americans and the Germans used boiled linseed oil, which is right here. Everybody should know that boiled linseed oil products today is not exactly what it used to be back in the 40s, the 30s, and even the 50s. This stuff is refined a number of times, and it's got a bunch of added chemicals and dryers like secatives and other solvents in there just to help thin it and dry it a little bit better and seal the wood. Now, there's nothing wrong with using the boiled linseed oil, and you actually get a pretty similar finish. You just don't get that same coloration or even the same amount of waterproofing, I guess, but it does seal, so you have that going for you. But it's not my personal favorite, but like I said, there's nothing wrong with using that. Another one that they used, at least the Americans, was tung oil. Now, if you're going to use tung oil, I would use this kind of stuff. This is pretty pure stuff. There's no added chemicals. It's not heavily refined. It's just filtered through, so you don't have any chunks or anything solid in there. And you can actually hear it. It's pretty thick when you shake it. Like, it sounds pretty solid in there. But you go to this by Minwax, and it's very watery. You know, it's maybe like 5% actual tung oil, and that's in there. And I don't even really know the whole formula. I just know it's not 100% tung oil, so there's that for you. But it will give you a higher gloss finish than just pure tung oil. Now, we're going to get into how to make your stocks look authentic. Now, this stock is relatively newer. I bought this from DuPage Trading Company out of Phoenix, Arizona, and I bought the stock with no stain on it. Had all the metal hardware put on it. I mean, I got the whole package, just no stain on there, because I wanted to do it myself. Now, this is flaxseed oil. Now, what flaxseed oil is actually linseed oil. Now, linseed is like the Latin way of saying flax or flax plant, something like that. It's literally the same thing. The difference between what Clean Strip and Sunnyside and all these other companies do is they have the boiled process and all that happy stuff. This is cold pressed linseed oil, pretty much. Now, the significance of it being cold pressed is that the only filtration that it goes through is just a mechanical filtration. It doesn't get refined. It's food grade, and it's actually good for you if you actually want to try and eat it, but I wouldn't eat a high volume of it. There's your science. If we can get the camera to focus, it's right there. The linolenic acid, omega-3 and 6, that is what makes the stocks on the original M1s and German Mausers turn kind of a reddish color. Now, granted, the German Mauser stocks didn't exactly turn red. They actually had if it was a laminated stock, it was the glue within the laminations holding the wood fibers together. That was more red than anything, but you still get the same kind of effect, I guess. But that's beechwood, European beechwood, and this is American walnut. And this is the result that you get. You can actually kind of see that it's already turning a reddish color. And this is just a month over time. you can just see it. It's very consistent all the way through. I'll turn it over for you. You get very nice coloration. Now it's not exactly where I want it to be, so I'm gonna still add some more layers and coats to it. But with the cold press stuff, you have to be very patient, and you gotta have a lot of time because it dries very slow, incredibly slow. It will test your patience. Like, I've put very thin coats on here on my guns before, and it just takes, it's taken a month at one time. I'd put some on my Mauser, and that took about a month and 1 week to actually fully dry. And the thing with linseed oil, it doesn't necessarily actually dry, it just settles, which is also something else. But over years, it will actually dry and polymerize, and that's where you get the red effect. So that's my advice to you, is to put the thinnest layers you can. I'm probably like 10 layers into this right now, and I'm gonna try and do another 5, and I'll probably do 1 every month for the next year, because that is just how the Germans and the Americans did it. That was how they maintained their stocks. You just throw another layer on as a maintenance kind of deal. So hopefully that explains some confusions and maybe some misconceptions. It's really easy to get misled by some stuff, especially in the tung oil world, or even the linseed oil world. Like, literally, you have one product called flaxseed and the other's linseed, and when they're literally the same thing. They're just a different process, and one is more pure than the other. So if you want the most original look, I'd honestly just go on like Amazon, or maybe to your organic grocery market, and try and see if they have this brand, because this is the best one so far, because that is quite a bit of the omega linolenic acids. I mean, 9 grams in this whole bottle for omega-3 and 2 grams for the omega-6. That's actually quite a bit, and that's exactly what you need. And you can actually make your own boiled linseed oil with that flaxseed oil right there. You just have to be careful, because it does actually have a pretty low flash point, and it can be quite dangerous to do that. But you can put it on a stove and actually heat it up a bit. But once you open this bottle, you have to refrigerate it, because after about 6 weeks, it's gonna go rancid. And it's actually the omega acids that are what's gonna go rancid and turn the oil bad, and it will smell pretty awful. And that's mainly why they refine the boiled linseed oil too, so it doesn't go bad at all. It takes a long time for the boiled stuff to go pretty rancid. And the same for tung oil. You don't really have to refrigerate it, but over time it can just lose its quality, I guess, and even the caps will get stuck on each other onto the bottles, and you can't really do anything. But I like to do the shake test when I get tung oil. It really will sound like oil, like you got a jug of oil if you got the real stuff. But there's also nothing wrong with the Minwax tung oil. It's just not exactly what they make it out to be. So yeah, hopefully that helps you guys out in making your decisions on what you want to do with your military stocks, or even if you are just a general woodworker. It's a good piece of information to have. Anyways, bye y'all.